200 that just happens to be the exact same number of the fallen angels or watchers that were banished down to earth for committing sins with human women? And then what if I also told you there's a pyramid in the middle of a crazy city where at the very top of it was a chamber where they had 200 perfectly aligned, beautiful seats?
If you live anywhere near the UK, you need to know about this. Right now there's a couple of videos going viral of these like virus test tube looking things being found all over the beach in a certain place in England. I'm going to show you where that is.
They wasn't joking when they said this was the age of disclosure, huh? Because what do they mean they found a second internet? Y'all know
They're saying the people on that ship were bird watchers, and apparently they just had to go see these birds. And that is how these rodent droppings spread around so easily. What kind of birds were they watching where it's just so important? And
You know, see we rich. Me can't stop. What you know, man? Problem. I don't know, say a key be representing Nene Zelda YouTube channel. Baddest thing out there, you know. Check in, subscribe. All works. On there. You don't know.
You still think these giant craters are caused by asteroids? Aw, that's sweet. Well, if you don't want that fantasy ruined for you, I wouldn't keep watching. Let's start by looking how many of these craters have been found. And the Google machine says 190, but I've seen up to 195, which is awfully close to the number 200. 200 that just happens to be the exact same number of the fallen angels or watchers that were banished down to earth for committing sins with human women? And then what if I also told you there's a pyramid in the middle of a crazy city where at the very top of it was a chamber where they had 200 perfectly aligned, beautiful seats? 200 exactly. And then I told you that the town name that pyramid's in just happens to be an anagram of the word Satan, also has a light in it that looks very, very familiar. So familiar that I knew I had seen it somewhere before. We know what that is. That's the Olympic torch. And if you've seen my Chicago or New York videos, you know who that really is, holding that torch. The head of the fallen angels, Lucifer, the light bearer. The light bearer who not only puts his light in plain sight, but puts his home at the head of a phoenix. And we just know how Hollywood loves to tell us the truth right in their movies.
We were not stone then, but light. It was not our place to interfere. Yet we chose to try and help mankind. And when we disobeyed the Creator, He punished us. We were encrusted by your will. Rock and mud shackled our fiery glow.
Maybe, just maybe, there are some fallen angels here, and they're trying to deceive us to get revenge on God, trying to make us think there is no God, and that we just came on an accident, random Big Bang, and that we evolved from monkeys, and that we live on just one of infinite spinning balls. But I know the truth. I know they're not even possible the way they tell us, because I've researched. And if you still think these are caused from asteroids from outer space, then my friend, you have a lot of research to do. My hope for you is that one day you get to fire up your butt so bad that you will stop at nothing, and I mean nothing, until you find the truth about this place you live. Because it's there, and this sure as hell isn't it. But as always, I was just here for your entertainment purposes. I don't believe any of this I said. All this was just joking opinion. Yeah, of course Space Rocks hit this.
I literally just made a video where I was talking about the fiery pillar of light, and I was basically explaining how this pillar of light symbolized interdimensional travel, a being either entering or leaving this realm. And I came to that conclusion because Shiva, the Hindu god, first appeared from a fiery pillar of light. But I just came across this video that kind of took me down another rabbit hole, so I'm going to show you guys this video.
Talk about the hexagons in WandaVision. When they were used to close out the first episode's ending credits, I thought, oh, well, that's weird. Then they popped up again in episode 2, and they're all over episode 3, and then there was Bee Guy, and bees live in hives. Hives are made of hexagons, and this wallpaper looks like a beehive if you squint. Then episode 4 shows us that the field around Westview is also hexagon-shaped, meaning this reality is contained within a hexagon, just like the show itself is bookended by hexagons in the credits. Jimmy Woo is also wondering about it on his whiteboard. I don't think this show would call so much attention to this if it were a simple Easter egg. See, hexagons have 6 sides and 6 vertices and 6 angles. Pointed out that these pictures in his office are in the shape of a hexagon. Look a little closer and you'll see hexagon patterns on his rug. Now that got me thinking that maybe hexagons are actually the building blocks of the universe that hold the MCU together. Why hexagons? Well, for instance, a hive is the most efficient structure in nature. Hexagons prevent any wasted space, unlike circles, which leave gaps between them. Think about where we've seen hexagons in the MCU before. Space travel. In the Guardians movies and Avengers Endgame, ships travel using the Universal Neural Teleportation Network, or UNTN. Now, this is a network of wormholes that the characters call jump points. This network is displayed as a grid of hexagons. Presumably, since they're using wormholes, these ships are passing through the 4th dimension. Perhaps the 4th dimension is held together with a network of hexagons. Due to its connection to the Infinity Stones, these shapes could be the building blocks of the universe.
So once I got to digging, I started to notice that hexagons were literally the shape for interdimensional travel, as you can see from this clip from the Spider-Man movie. As Miles Morales is going through the interdimensional portal, it is the shape of a hexagon. So that brings me back to these light pillars. There is a phenomenon where we can see these light pillars with our observable eye, as you can see from this image above. But what's fascinating to me is that these light pillars are formed because light is reflecting off ice crystals, forming the image of a light pillar. But if you look at these light crystals that the light is reflecting off of, it is in the shape of a hexagon. And that's how these light pillars are formed. You know how I always say they hide the truth in the media? Well, what's interesting to me is that in a science fiction series called Stargate, the term Antarctic Outpost describes a hexagonal structure buried under the ice that served as the last remnant of an ancient civilization. And this is what it looked like. As you can see, it has the hexagon shapes. But what really ties everything in about this show is that it's literally called Stargate, which are portals that lead to other realms. Now keep this image in mind because it is going to come back up again later. So in Antarctica, they actually have these things called hexagonal open-top chambers. So I decided to dig deep and figure out what that even was. And basically, they are environmental manipulation. They create an artificial microclimate. They increase the air temperature within the hexagon, simulating future warming scenarios. So why make them in the shape of a hexagon? Well, because certain hexagonal materials, like hexagonal boron nitride, have a layered structure that allows for very high thermal conductivity within the hexagonal plane. This is ideal for spreading heat away from a source. That part is important. Honeycomb panels are used for heat shielding. So let's say, for example, that a firmament was placed upon our realm and its purpose was to spread heat away from the internal artificial environment. That would explain why we are surrounded by an ice wall. Perhaps this firmament is made up of this hexagonal structure, spreading the heat away from the ice wall barrier. And that would make sense if we look at the movie The Hunger Games, because when Katniss shot her bow at the dome, it revealed a hexagonal structure. So the firmament could be made out of this hexagonal structure. So basically, our realm would be an artificial microclimate. And this is a visual of what that would look like. And if you were to create hundreds of these artificial microclimates, it would resemble this, which looks very similar to the other realms beyond the ice wall. Each one of them their own artificial microclimate, meaning within each dome, it could have its own weather, its own ecosystem, its own environment, terrain. Now, when it comes to the waters above this hexagonal firmament, it wouldn't be composed of H2O as we know it. It would be composed of H3O2, which is structured water, hexagonal water. So the waters above are not ordinary water, but structured dimensional waters, the medium through which interdimensional travel occurs. So the waters above would be energetic waters, a kind of living plasma type of water. And that's why I said to remember this image, because this could be what our realm looks like from the outside of our hexagonal firmament. And if our firmament is made up of hexagons, that would explain how the light pillars or interdimensional travel is possible within this realm.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this simple because the shit is annoying. What he just displayed is not gravity, it's called buoyancy. If something is heavier than water, it sinks to the bottom of it. If something is lighter than water, it floats at the top. The same thing happens with air. If something is heavier than air, it drops to the bottom of the air till it hits something. And if something is lighter than air, it floats up. That could not happen if there was a force so powerful that it was also holding oceans to the bottom of a ball.
When you figure out that the jewelers took over the world with rocks they convinced you were valuable, look at your hand and realize how stupid you really are. It don't matter how big a diamond is, it's a rock, period. It don't matter how shiny the gold is, it's a rock, period. Now, who sells those rocks? Jewelers. Right. Why? They have no other resources. That's right. And Elion's family sells rocks. Oh my God. The jewelers sell rocks. And they've convinced us that the rocks are worth something. They're worthless. You know why they convinced us of that? Because they have nothing else. Nothing. If
you mean to tell me the people on that ship got a tour of a landfill while they were on vacation? They're saying the people on that ship were bird watchers, and apparently they just had to go see these birds. And that is how these rodent droppings spread around so easily. What kind of birds were they watching where it's just so important? And everyone's being quarantined in their cabins, and we only get one video from one guy who's partnered with Oceanwide Expeditions, who operates that ship. Why does it feel like we're watching some opening scene of an outbreak movie? And apparently the last outbreak for the hantavirus was 33 years ago. And on top of that, guess what nobody's talking about anymore? When was the last time you heard anyone talking about those missing scientists? Apparently they're supposed to be releasing something about UFOs and nobody seems to care about that. Or how about those files? And did y'all see who they arrested on that Disney cruise ship? Yeah, I don't really see many people talking about that right now. You know, at this point, it's like I don't trust anything. And it just feels like at this point they're doing everything that they can to distract us.
What if I can tell you that everything you want, everything you dream about already exists in the quantum field, but we are all programmed to be realistic and not dream and just work and work and work and work and eventually you get it? That's not how the universe works. You have to broadcast, your emotions have to align, because you're technically just a huge magnet. So everything you dream of, everything you want is already in the quantum field, just waiting for you to broadcast it and ask the universe for it. So always dream big and always remember that everything you want is in the quantum field waiting for you.
Thought the other one was bad, which was this one right here, which is the Hanta. But guess what? Right now, there's a cruise ship with over 115 sick in norovirus outbreak on the ship coming to Florida to the Everglades. This ship took off from the Everglades and it's now coming back to the Everglades because 115 people are sick to norovirus. Literally a couple days ago, we had this thing going off where like 23 people, that number grew like to 40 right now, has gotten the hantavirus and was sick on this ship right here. But then people got out, returned home to all corners around the globe, including the United States, to states like California, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Virginia, South Africa, Switzerland, Netherlands, United Kingdom, France, literally everywhere. That thing is about to spread, and hundreds of people are being monitored right now as we speak. This went from 23 to global, and literally today, cruise ship with over 115 people sick of norovirus. I thought 2016 was good, so 2026 is going to be even better, but looks like, look at this. What is going on? What is going on?
They wasn't joking when they said this was the age of disclosure, huh? Because what do they mean they found a second internet? Y'all know I don't look at things on the surface. I'm going to look at the patterns, the symbolism, the connection. I'm going to look at the architecture underneath the architecture. Why is it that scientists are just admitting that nature as well as technology follow the same sequential patterns? Let me say it like this. They're repeating the same mathematical languages. So the sequence patterns found in atoms, in DNA structures, galaxies, in neural pathways, and now digital systems all mirror each other. I know some people gonna say that's just such a coincidence, but y'all know I don't believe in that. See, this is where the rabbit hole opens, because y'all know everything seems to run on code. Your body is the code. Your DNA is the biological code. Computers have a digital code. Sound frequencies, code. Sacred geometry, code. Even your thoughts move through electrical signals like data transfers. Now they're talking about discovering hidden layers of internet infrastructure, huh? Almost like a parallel web underneath the visible one. This kind of reminds me of when that man discovered there was an ocean within the ocean. This is why they said that damn rabbit hole goes so deep it never ends. Just keep connecting to different tunnels, you know? What if the internet was never invented? What if humans just stumbled across something that was already here? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. I truly believe they stumbled across something that existed naturally. Like, really think about it. Neuron pathways in the brain literally resembles maps of the universe. It also resembles internet networks. Lightning branches look like roots. Roots look like veins. Veins somehow start looking like rivers. Rivers look like neural pathways. Same design repeating infinitely. As within, so without. As above, so below. Just to go a little bit deeper, atoms communicate through what? Vibration and electromagnetic exchange. Devices communicate through what? Frequencies, signals. Last but certainly not least, humans communicate through what? Brain waves, energetic resonance. Technology is becoming less man-made, and it's starting to mirror the invisible systems that were already here. Same systems that already power reality. Reality runs on frequencies, on patterns, on mathematics, on encoded structures. Then what exactly separates the digital world from the physical one? Is this why people feeling so spiritually exhausted lately? Constant signal exposure, constant stimulation, constant energetic broadcasting. Got human beings carrying divine biological intelligence plugged into an artificial nervous system 24/7. Crazy part is most people still think the internet is just apps and Wi-Fi, but listen to the name, Internet. This goes to show that the internet itself behaves like a living network. Am I saying that we are living in a computer literally? Maybe, maybe not. What I am saying is reality moves more like intelligent systems than what we was taught. Patterns don't lie, but symbolism and code definitely gonna repeat. And whenever nature and technology start reflecting each other this hard, that's going to make me pay attention. That's going to make me observe, but damn sure not absorb. Because the real question, again, is not if they found a second internet. It's if humanity actually tapped into something that was already woven into existence itself. Y'all know what I'm going to say. I'm just here to make you think. I would love to hear y'all thoughts in the comments. What y'all think this is, this second or new internet? Do y'all really think it's new? As always, peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
Okay, breaking news. If I call your name, you've been compromised. Britain, Canada, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, St. Kitts and Nevis, Singapore, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, and the United States. Those are the 12 countries the WHO have just informed their nationals have returned home after being on the cruise ship before the first death. Now, don't worry, That doesn't mean that you've got any confirmed cases or even that those individuals have or have had the virus. It just is the WHO giving a little heads up to your country saying, you might want to keep an eye on those individuals. But let's talk about an even more interesting development that happened today, and that is a Dutch air hostess, right? She has come into contact with one of the individuals on the plane who had the hantavirus and is now dead. Now, that air hostess, she was hospitalized today. Doesn't mean, again, that she had the hantavirus. They said that she was hospitalized with symptoms. So could be the flu for all we know. But it's significant if she is found to have the hantavirus later, because that would be the first recorded case that we know of someone catching the hanta from the origin source of the ship, but never being a passenger. But with all of that scary stuff being said, the United Nations Health Agency, they came out today and they said that this outbreak of the hantavirus on board is not going to be the start of a pandemic. So you could say it's official.
If you live anywhere near the UK, you need to know about this. Right now there's a couple of videos going viral of these like virus test tube looking things being found all over the beach in a certain place in England. I'm going to show you where that is, and we're going to use AI to put this image in and find out exactly where these are coming from. Well, that's the future now. So someone's going to be responsible in a minute. So I zoomed in, and you can too, and grab a screenshot of all that. So you got the data here and the reference number, who made this and why is it at the beach, and how many are there. So when I punched it into AI, look, they said multiple reports confirm hundreds, possibly more, of these identical vials washed up on beaches in the Isle of Sheppey. I'll show you on a map where that is, Kent, UK, in April, early May 2026, so this is just happening. Part of illegally dumped clinical medical waste thrown over cliffs or into the sea, which then is spreading with the tides all over your local beaches. There are open investigations into this. Just thought you would want to know if you live in the area. And yes, they are virus transport medium tubes. And this is the company that makes them, just in case you want to know, in case you want anyone to blame or maybe trace where that came from and what was in these. It would be an interesting time to know exactly what was in these things, or were they empty? Nowhere else better to throw them, huh? Had to throw them in the ocean or in the rivers, right?